Alright, so I'm currently trying to platinum every single type of EA game that there is out there, and if I can't do it before the channel hits 1 million subscribers, then my punishment is I have to platinum Fortnite, one of the longest, hardest, and most grindy games of all time. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Anyways, in today's video, I got the platinum trophy on Crysis 2. Now, this is the second Crysis game in the trilogy, obviously, and I did the first one quite a while ago now, so if you want to watch that and some other EA games I've already made videos on, then make sure to check out the EA games playlist I have on the channel. But Crysis 2 is about pretty much the same thing the first one was also about: aliens and their invasion of Earth. Yup, it hasn't stopped even after a few years after the game first took place. But in total, Crysis 2 has 36 trophies, including the platinum trophy. It's a very simple and short platinum, and also since we are playing the remaster, it is much faster than the original game due to the multiplayer on Crysis 2 being ripped out with the remaster. But starting off today with stage 1, the goal is to beat the entire story on Super Soldier difficulty, and you don't have to worry about pretty much anything as you play, because the game has 0 missable trophies and a very nice chapter select after you beat the game. But the Crysis 2 story kicks off with a cutscene setting up the lore for our character being named Alcatraz, a fellow marine sent off to fight the aliens and rescue people within the middle of the takeover. And pretty much everything goes to hell instantly, and the vessel we were traveling on got blown up along with all the others around us, ending up ultimately with the entire platoon in the water, and Alcatraz here can barely swim apparently, so we sort of drowned or at least passed out. That is before the Crysis suit dude just walks up to us, straight up aura farming in the middle of a battle, and he even gave us a trophy on top of endless aura. You then wake up and you actually have his suit on, which is kind of confusing. But after picking up the pistol besides us, you see a little flashback to how we got the suit, and it turns out that guy in the suit was named Prophet, and apparently he just reached his end with the damn aliens, and he popped himself, giving us a suit to carry on his mission. And the first major goal of the game was to find this scientist professor guy named Gould, who Prophet also name dropped in his manifesto. You then begin the game getting to play finally for good, and the game also does give us a little tutorial into the combat basics of Crysis, but since we are playing on Super Soldier difficulty, you can kind of ignore most of this because the main method in beating this difficulty is to just use stealth and the invisible cloak on the suit. This is because playing Super Soldier difficulty is unironically hard as a motherfucker to beat if you go in guns blazing, and I pretty much just stealth the entire time after meeting my end numerous times in the first 10 minutes of playing. I did, however, manage to get a combat trophy already from just getting 4 headshots in a row because my aim is extremely good. Anyways, moving on, I eventually made it past that little enemy pile up and we progressed further. And Gould, that scientist guy, also started to talk to us because he was connected to Prophet previously before he died, and he actually still believed we were Prophet. Apparently never talking is something that Prophet also did do before he felt like giving us a full manifesto, I guess. Anyways, a few steps forward, you reach the end of the tutorial chapter, and it had us rip open a door to escape the Battery Park Evacuation Center, which was the area we just fought through. Upon doing so, you also get a story trophy which pops right away. Continuing on through the city, the game eventually gives you another suit upgrade to use, being the armor mode, and this is good, I guess, but overall it doesn't really help all that much unless you're in like a super dire situation, because yes, it does deflect damage, however it's not anywhere close to invulnerability from dying, and in fact it makes you much slower, and I just personally didn't like using it is what I'm trying to say. Also, as you might have noticed, we haven't fought any aliens yet, and that's because the private military is currently after us due to what Prophet has done in the past. I can't honestly remember if he was a part of the first game or not, but whatever he did, it pissed off everyone, and they don't even know he's dead, which is why we are being targeted, so yeah, that's that. But like I said, stealth is our friend, and I try my best to use that as much as possible, although fighting was required occasionally in certain moments where the story both forces you to, or I just f***ed up, which was common. After moving forward in this downtown area, I also did finally reach alien contact, and these disgusting creatures are called the Ceph, by the way. Kind of a dope name, not gonna lie. But after you kill any type of them, you get given nano catalyst in varying amounts due to the level of the enemy's difficulty. The base Ceph give you 100, by the way, and then you can use those nano things to level up the suit Alcatraz has to enhance gameplay and make things easier for ourselves. Also, upgrading yourself for the first time is a trophy as you would expect. And once the aliens got introduced, it then slowly became more and more of the focus we would go up against. Also, having a big mixture between aliens and enemy soldiers was cause for pure chaos as I stealth walked past them pretending it wasn't there, but enjoying every second of it, just like Diddy in his cut couch. And I also did take a break to go poop for multiple minutes while I played this game. I just felt like sharing that. I've been having digestive issues recently, and it might have something to do with having 240 platinum trophies, but it hasn't been medically confirmed or denied. But after I did come back to play, I reached probably the most annoying combat and stealth section of the game so far, near this overpass, train track, highway thing. I don't live in a big city, so I honestly don't know what you call all this construction besides wasted taxpayer dollars. But with my current stealth suit, I didn't have enough juice to sneak all the way to the objective marker, and I would end up getting caught over and over because there also wasn't many places to hide and not be seen. And that's another hard part about Super Soldier difficulty. If you even so much as get spotted on the tip of your head, the entire enemy force drops what they are doing and collectively try to f you. It's like we are cosplaying as Bonnie Blue in an immigrant-dense part of London right now, filming a new special. However, once I did figure out a good stealth route, I made it to the objective and then climbed up the top of the highway, which would also then kind of crumble out beneath us, but the road was still somewhat drivable and 2 cars full of enemies pulled up forcing me to fight them. And you have to or you will die. I learned that the hard way, but then thought, hey, why don't I just chuck a grenade at them? Turns out that that idea was as brilliant as my 1600 perfect SAT score. And the grenade ended up destroying every single one of the enemies in front of me, giving me well over 3 kills and a trophy called Blast Radius from getting at least 3 kills with the grenade. You then move more through the highway, and it was pretty easy to navigate with stealth due to there being a lot of obstacles scattered around. Eventually, you also do see the highway really deteriorate, and this is not going to be drivable for quite some time, I'm afraid. I then reached another little outpost with enemies, and this is actually a very easy part of the game to get through, but at first I thought I had to steal this already manned tank because the game told me to get a vehicle, and it turns out you actually can't steal an already manned vehicle in this game, and I again found that out the hard way. But all lessons in life need to be learned through failure, and don't be afraid to fail, boys. Remember that. Anyways, back to the game. Stealing a vehicle is super easy, and there's one literally parked right next to the main tank I try to snatch, but it's just behind a wall, and once you do take it, you then have to break down the wall in front of it, obviously. There was then a pretty substantially long car combat section that was also surprisingly easy considering we are on the hardest difficulty, but that would end up concluding once we literally reached a path that can't go further and you have to get out. Going through the door to this building then segues us into the next area of the game that was much more difficult than the previous events. You have to sneak your way across these docks to a lab, which isn't that hard in itself thanks to stealth cloaks as we all know, but once you make it to the lab and interact with this device we came to destroy inside of it, all-out chaos begins and waves upon waves of enemies rain down from the heavens quite literally. Also, attack choppers come at us over and over to end our existence, but overall the combat encounter isn't as bad as it could have been because there is a ton of cover within the lab and also a lot of guns and ammo got left there. The hardest part was definitely taking out the chopper because I wasn't able to find the rocket launchers in the room on this playthrough, which is kind of funny. And yes, I did have to do a sort of second playthrough after, but we will talk about why later on. And also, yes, the room did have rocket launchers in the corner of it, which would have made taking out a fucking helicopter a lot easier than just using my damn assault rifle. But after I did take out the helicopter, it ended up crashing right into the lab and it also opened up a path for us to continue on with the story. There was like 4 more dudes I had to kill in this path after the lab, but then we made it to Gould's residence finally, and he was just chilling right next door to us. Bro really couldn't have chosen a closer place to the hot zone, could he? Anyways, once we hook up with Gould, he is ranting about aliens for a minute before he hooked us up to this machine to see any data or new evidence we have gathered on the Ceph, and ultimately it also exposes us as not being Prophet, and we got a trophy called False Prophet. Gould also put his gun right in our face. And real quick, I want to say a huge shout out to the developers of this game for making the trophies actually funny and relate to what's happening in the game. Even the first trophy of this game, called Can It Run Crysis, is a shout out to real world memes about the game's original launch, and it's just awesome to see developers care about the games they make and the people who play them, which is rare nowadays with a lot of big studios, unfortunately. Anyways, back to the game. Gould talked to us more about stuff, and then all shit broke loose again with the 2 being spotted by enemies. After a little death cutscene, you then wake up atop a roof, and just FYI, you are not immune to fall damage in this game. I have learned that the hard way again. Anyways, we were pretty much just back to the usual stealthing around the city. Our objective was for the most part to just take down the stealth facilities and personnel, which is the name of the enemy soldiers, by the way. And don't get it confused with this Ceph, who are the aliens. I feel like we could have chosen some more stark differences in names, but it's whatever. Eventually, after much more stealth and combat like usual, I made it to the underground in their facilities. And there was also this weird invisible alien that appeared. I'm also not sure if it was supposed to be there, so I just ran away from it. Fight versus flight got me acting like a bitch, but a bitch that lived. And once I ran away, I finished the 6th level of the game apparently, which popped me this trophy called City That Never Sleeps from doing 6 levels on Veteran, and the trophy Heart of Darkness from doing 6 levels on Super Soldier. Don't we love games that have difficulty stacking trophies? Fucking gorgeous. During the next level, I was then outside the Cell Nanotech facility finally, and I had to sneak into it by blowing up this door to then enter the building finally. Fight through a few more enemies inside of it and then take an elevator further into the ground. Unlocking another trophy as soon as we got off the elevator, by the way, called Internal Affairs. And Gould also followed us down here, and he tried to strap us into this nanotech chair to give us some boost and extract more data as you do. But while we were strapped in, some visions began again, and apparently a transmission began to also send out our location to everyone, and immediately everything went to hell once more. This game truly is a roller coaster of failure. I love it. It resembles my life so far, on God. But the Cell military leader named Lockhart ended up finding us, and he's the main dude that wants our guts dead so bad. I guess Prophet f***ed his wife or something, I don't even know. Thankfully, this chick named Tara was also here to save our guts from emptying out onto the floor, literally. So we then became prisoners for a hot minute before beginning to get exfilled, and while we did take off, however, an alien spire came down from the sky and caused mass destruction, sucking us near it and then crashing. Aliens also began to pour out all around us with this commotion, and it was just overall bad news, although it was very cinematic, I can't lie. So there was then some combat against the aliens for a bit, but you eventually run out of health or energy and pass out. More visions occur, then you awaken, little alien bugs are trying to eat us up. So fucking rude. But this is when the game actually gets really good because now the aliens are the main focus and corrupt military men have taken a seat back like they should. But you were kind of just wandering through the city and subway, eventually trying to reach the spore conduit, which is that thing that shot out of the sky, because these spill spores out that infect people. Also, I just played Mass Effect and they have legitimately almost the same alien thing in that game also, which is kind of funny. Who did it first, I wonder? Anyways, I actually got a trophy finally from shutting down the the spore conduit, which is done by just shoving our hand into it. I knew fisting wasn't natural after all. So that's kind of the main thing we're needed for the rest of the game, just shoving our hand and sometimes our entire body into the spore conduits to shut them off and save people and ourselves from further alien infestation. There was also a little story arc where we teamed up with Marines we were with in the beginning of the game as well, which is neat. You love to see the boys still kicking. But they also got given some of the most intense combat encounters you see all game, and justly so. You also got a trophy after surviving them, which pops right here after surviving Madison Square. The next trophy I got then popped a few minutes after once I reached the Hargrave Rash building. And this is where the evil mad scientist dude is at from what I can remember, but he also wanted to meet us for the suit, and at the same time this was the dude who funded the cell soldiers after us, so it's kind of odd how bro is playing both sides, but it's alright I guess. Anyways, the dude actually wasn't there, and then you just do loads more combat after, which is kind of a trend in this game. The combat just gets progressively more and more the closer you got to the ending, which I'm honestly down with. And I actually got 3 trophies once I survived yet again massive amounts of alien combat. The first one I got was from assisting the evacuation at Bryant Park, which is just one of the level's goals. But the other 2 are from first beating 12 levels on veteran difficulty, and then 12 of them on super soldier difficulty. Again, this is just those difficulty trophy stackable things that we saw earlier in the list. The next trophy I got then came again from the story, and this time for more combat, but we had to defeat a ton of enemies inside of a train station as a matter of fact, and once they were all defeated, the trophy from that popped. The train station, however, did not make it. No, yeah, an entire building fell onto it. I would then get another story trophy from combat, and unfortunately there is still bugs leaving the Crysis 2 remaster. I picked up like 5 rocket launcher pickups, and I never once got the thing in my hands, so I had to fight this giant enemy with just bullets, and I honestly almost thought it was impossible to beat it, I'm not gonna lie, but eventually it did die, and the trophy popped shortly after. And again, right after that trophy, we got sucked into another spore conduit. Low-key, I kind of bet that suction feels good. Our boy Alcatraz is living life right now. He's definitely gonna have postpartum depression after he exits his suit, on God. Anyways, the next story trophy I got was from finally meeting Hargrave in his residence where he works. The trophy also pops instantly when entering the room itself, but you also find out that Hargrave has sort of been dead, or at least out of commission for a while, and he is literally alive through his AI that he made. This is low-key the future, I'm not gonna lie. He also then sends in people after us once he is done talking. Not sure why he even brought us here besides just for fun, but okay then. And after you do escape that mess, however, you eventually end up in the sky again, and there is this giant floating island of the city that has the main spore conduit inside of it that is kind of like the controlling force of the Ceph, so we obviously need to touch that shit. And after you do get dropped off on the island, you get another trophy. Now, as usual in the super soldier gameplay, I just stealthed around the island, and I ended up getting my 25th stealth kill as well, which is another trophy pop. But to finish off the game, you literally just need to make it to the final area, kill like 4 enemies I think to get the conduit to open, then fucking shove your ass in that bitch and it's a wrap. 3 trophies pop from finishing the story and on super soldier difficulty. Prophet then talked to us from the beyond. A cutscene would then show the alien forces being sucked up as if it was all a dream, and then Alcatraz Aura farmed the out of that W. Godspeed, soldier. So now it's time for stage 2, which I didn't really go for any of these trophies on the super soldier playthrough because I was pretty tunnel vision on just not getting ass the entire time. But every single remaining trophy can be farmed relatively quick through chapter select, and that's pretty much exactly what I did. The first trophy I got was from killing 10 enemies by throwing objects at them. This is a very funny trophy, and I also did it all on the bugs, which is even more funny because bugs, bro, I hate them all. I then did 10 kills by grabbing aliens and throwing them, another very funny trophy. Although the aliens didn't appreciate it, and I nearly died getting it. Getting 10 kills, however, wasn't a challenge, and here's a trophy once it did pop. The next trophy I got was called Popcorn. It took a bit more time because I had to play through this one level to get the microwave cannon, which is this kind of energy-powered gun, and it has limited ammo, meaning you can't refill it very easily, and you have to get 20 kills with 1 magazine. Thankfully, it does get 500 shots, but even with that many, I still barely managed to get this trophy done within 1 run using the gun. But I did because I'm the GOAT, and here it is. I then replayed the very first chapter, and I got a headshot on 2 enemies standing right beside each other, which got me the 1 bullet 2 kills trophy pop right here. I then farmed 5 kills while sliding, which is very self-explanatory, and here's a trophy as well. I then got to the combat trophies requiring certain locations for them. The first one being from killing a cell operator using a giant donut, and this is done by making it to this donut shop in Lower Manhattan, and then waiting for the cell guy to walk over near it, then shoving the giant donut on his back and crushing him with saturated fats and high sugar content, or cement I guess in this case. And my final combat trophy was then from throwing an alien down the sinkhole in the Dark Heart mission, but using chapter select it's almost right away doing it, so I just skedaddled over, forcefully grabbed this bitch, and threw its ass in the hole. Fuck aliens, human supremacy. So I now have to do 3 more trophies requiring random activities, but this time more specific actions within missions. The first one being from keeping every Marine alive during the rescue and Semper Fi or Die, which is just the name of a previous chapter. And this was that first interaction with the Marines we were with initially, but keeping them all alive is actually super easy on the easy difficulty. Just make sure to take out aliens as fast as possible and you should be fine. So here's that trophy pop. I then got a very easy and odd trophy from scanning this book in the New York Public Library during the level. No clue what it's referencing, but it's still a trophy pop regardless. And my final trophy here was then from rerouting the power in the ice storm without being seen. Now I skimmed over this part of the story because there wasn't any trophies during it naturally, but you had to turn off the power at this facility so this EMP wouldn't go off and basically kill us. But turning off the power without being seen is actually super easy, and I just f***ed it up on Super Soldier difficulty due to how alert the enemies actually were. But once I did do it the right way, the trophy popped and here it is. Now my final 2 trophies in this game were both from collectibles, and both of them once gotten on the respectable chapters count, so you can just back out instantly, which is a W feature. But I just followed guides for each of them and it really wasn't that hard. It did take me about an hour and a half to do this, however, so it probably would have been a smart idea to do this during my Super Soldier run after all. Anyways, here's both of those trophies once I did get them, and the Crysis 2 Platinum Trophy popped after achieving it all. So that was the Crysis 2 Platinum Trophy experience. I think the game is great. I really love the Crysis games. They're probably the most straightforward action sci-fi game out there in my opinion. I really wish they were more mainstream nowadays, but seeing as they are quite old, it makes sense why a lot of people don't know of them. But I would highly suggest you guys play them as they are quite fun, and yeah, that's all for today. The next video I'm gonna make will be on Anthem, by the way, so please help me. Please send help. I beg you. Thank you.